Good afternoon, I hope everyone's well today. Thank you for watching, it is appreciated as always. Housekeeping first before we get into the video main. We've had some more victories for Reform UK this week. We've had Michelle Home in Newark and Sherwood District Council. We've had Kay Smith, again in Newark and Sherwood District Council. And we've had Jonathan Austin in Harborough District Council. So well done to these three reformers. Well done. I think you're going to do good stuff. Don't let me down. And thanks again. Okay, so let's get into the video. I've seen a video today that's quite disturbing, and it's a veteran, and he's lamenting the state of the country, and he's asking what was it all for. There's people on the left and there's people on the right both trying to co-opt it, but he's not very specific, so it's difficult to pin down. It could be one of a million things, but we're going to get into some of the things I think that could be contributing to his distress. So we're going to play the clip first of all.
Remembrance Sunday mean for you? What is your message?
My message is, I can see in my mind's eye those rows and rows of white stones of all the hundreds of my friends and everybody else that gave their lives for what? The country of today. No, I'm sorry. The sacrifice wasn't worth the result that it is now.
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
What do you mean by that, though?
Well, what we fought for, and what we fought for was their freedom. We find that even now it's downside worse than when it was when I fought for it.
Oh, Alec, I'm sorry you feel like that, because I want you to know that all the generations that have come since, including me and my children, are so grateful for your bravery and all that for service personnel. And it's our job now, isn't it, to make it the country that you fought for. You absolutely fought for. And we will do. We want to...
I'm so wonderful to know there are people like you that spread the word around.
I'm going to leave that one there. It goes into a bit of a struggle session with the veteran to try to pin down specifically what he means. There's people online saying that he's racist. There's nothing in that clip to indicate that he was. We should respect our veterans, especially this weekend. If you know anybody that served, check on them, see if they're okay. Maybe give them a call if it's a family member or a friend. Check in on them. You know, our government's not going to do that. Make sure they're doing alright. Make sure they feel loved and supported. And we're going to get into some of the things that I think could be contributing to his worldview. First of all, we've got this. We've got football clubs down south. This one is specifically West Ham, saying they're not going to be displaying the poppy this weekend because it's politically controversial and there's a safeguarding concern. As part of our commitment, aligning with club-wide protocols, we want to share an update. This is West Ham, as I say, down in London. While we deeply respect the significance of the poppy appeal and remembrance activities, we must be led by the club on all initiatives for various operational and safeguarding reasons. Therefore, it's been decided that poppies will not be worn on match shirts during the fixtures this weekend. We understand this may be disappointing for some, and we appreciate your understanding. This approach ensures that no individuals feel pressured into participating in any initiative they may not feel comfortable with. What about the BLM protests a few years ago, when all the Premier League clubs were taking the knee for an incident that happened in the United States? Nothing to do with us, nothing to do with Britain, and yet they all did it. Was that politically controversial? I think it was. What about the pride flag, the new warped demented pride flag? Is that controversial? It could be, but they'll do all this stuff. Then we get on to what other people are saying, and this is people trying to co-opt it online. As I say, both the left and the right are trying to co-opt it. This is from a liberal. I see the right wing, who now push a narrative of broken Britain, have jumped on this clip. But they forget that Alec Penstone fought for a Britain that stood together. Brexit tore it apart. There's a fly in the logic ointment with that statement because the European Union didn't come into existence until decades after World War II. We weren't fighting for a united Europe. We were fighting to not even to liberate France. That was a consequence. We went in to destroy Nazi Germany. All right, let's be clear about that. That's why Britain and her empire went into World War II. And he's not grieving that, okay, and he's not grieving his service. It's what we've done with the peace he helped win. Partially true, maybe, but no, it wasn't. He's not upset because of Brexit, alright? Again, she's putting her own thoughts onto the clip, which I'm sure many people will do. Then she goes on to say this: Brexit quadrupled immigration, something which kept the economy going, and so asylum numbers soar because we left the Dublin Accord. More people came into the UK under the Dublin Accord. The Dublin Accord allowed EU nation states to transfer refugees back to the country of origin within the European Union. We accepted more than we got rid of, so it was a net negative that we were in the Dublin Accord. What do you think he's what do you think he's talking about? Do you think he's talking about, generally speaking, even though we didn't have two pennies to rub together in the 1940s and 50s, people were generally kinder, they were generally happier? Could it be that you could go out and buy a house, look at house prices in the 1950s compared to now? What about young people trying to get on the property ladder now, something they'll never achieve? Why? Because of globalisation. And the big corporates that are not doing the poppy appeal this year, and the football clubs. Is that globalisation as well? Think about it. If you invite the entire world to your country and say everybody is welcome, then you're going to be having people in your country that historically we were fighting against, whether that's in World War One, World War Two, the War on Terror, or any other conflict you want to think about. If you're inviting these people into your country, then all of a sudden it's not as one-sided as a war is. You're right and they're wrong. Shoot until the other side is dead. It's not as simplistic as that anymore. So that's another consequence of globalisation. We can't even celebrate our veterans because there's people in the country that may take issue with that. Just what happened, look what happened to Drummer Lee Rigby about 10 years ago. Alright? Diversity may not always be a strength. Diversity of thought can be. Diversity of opinions, definitely, but not diversity on skin colour alone. Or it could be the fact that you've got some politicians wearing a white poppy, the pacifist poppy, which again is an insult to all the war veterans, that you've got politicians in the Senate and in Holyrood that are doing that. I think it's a sick gesture. Or it could be that you've got MPs down in Parliament, like the nutty Zara Sultana, who's lamenting that a veteran from the Troubles in Northern Ireland was given basically legal aid from the MOD, and they actually covered his defence costs in court. He was acquitted, by the way. The right decision was made. However, she's annoyed that the MOD footed the bill, so we're going to play that clip now.
So, Mr. Speaker, can the Secretary of State explain how it was determined and who determined that Soldier F qualified for Ministry of Defence funding and what precedent this decision was based on, particularly given reports that he received double the financial support typically afforded to a single defendant? If he was eligible for legal aid, that avenue was open for him. Instead, £4.3 million of public money was spent defending a man who, in his own evidence to the Southern Inquiry, admitted his lethal role in the state-sanctioned murders on Bloody Sunday. Does the Secretary of State believe that this represents an equal and impartial application of justice, or a two-tiered system designed to shield the British state from accountability?
So yeah, you've got absolute no marks like Zara Sultana saying that we need to politically prosecute our veterans for their role in historic violence during the Troubles. I don't agree with that. And to answer her question a little bit more on point, alright? If Labour hadn't reopened these cases in Northern Ireland, then no funding would be needed. You're reopening old wounds that didn't need to be reopened. Alright? During the Blitz didn't break Britain. Alright? We were on rations during World War II. That didn't break us either. Two-tier Kia and the globalist plan that's been in place since 1997, in my view, has done more to damage the United Kingdom than the Blitz did. Again, these are just my thoughts, your mileage may vary. Back to my points earlier in the video, if you know any soldiers, if you know anyone that has served, spend some time with them, pick up the phone call, see how they're doing, make sure they're wearing up and everything's going alright for them. You know our government's not going to do that. We owe it to our veterans to make sure while they're still with us that they're given help and support where needed. I would gladly pay for these asylum hotels to be given to the veterans instead, especially veterans that are homeless. It's the least we can do. These are just my thoughts. Your mileage may vary. I think it's a disgrace the way that the veterans are treated. I really do. But if I was to finish off the video, I would just say the point I think he's trying to make, again, I'm aware I'm transferring onto him, but I'm very aware of that. We have a duty to hand down the country to the next generation that's recognisable as the country that they fought and died for. And when our time comes, we should be able to look back and say, yeah, this is pretty much the same country that we're handing down. Anything else is vandalism, constitutional vandalism. I appreciate your time. Have a good day and thank you for watching.